Oh, what's up, guys? This is your boy Jalen here on another episode of Elevated Minds. I have my sister on here, Brittany Warren. Say what's up, Britt.
The original bestie.
So, you already know today's topic is going to be toxic femininity with a focus on body positivity and double standards. So, this is going to be a pretty good one, I already know.
You're about to make people mad. Truly it is.
So first, I'll just have you introduce yourself and, let everybody know, a little bit about you.
So I am Jalen's younger sister, his awesome little sister, Brittany. And I am an entrepreneur. I do art, and I have worked for myself for the past, about year and a half-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a full-time entrepreneur, and Jalen already knows. He already knows I'm into social politics. So this is a topic I get really riled up about. You know what's funny though, Jay? I don't think I ever told you. It's kind of funny because what you're doing, I always wanted to do. I always wanted to have my own talk show.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever really told anybody that.
Hey, well, you can do it. This is the first step.
Hey, it's cool to see you do it because I use you as a test dummy. It's like, okay, let me see if Jalen does it first. Oh, he did it? It worked? Okay, I'm going to do it.
You might. Oh, man.
Hey, the next move is moving to Cali.
Hey, you might. Truly.
Truly, I shall.
All right, so first we're going to start off with talking about what femininity is, but I always want to ask the person, so what personally do you feel like femininity is like to you?
Well, that's interesting because it kind of just depends on your background. Let's put it like this. I grew up with really old school Black women. So looking at it from that side of the perspective, it's and then growing up with a very religious family. My grandma, well, you know, but grandma, mom, our aunties, they were all kind of working in the home. And it's kind of okay, well, you make sure your kids are taken care of. You make sure your man is taken care of. Making sure dinner is ready by the time your husband comes home, the kids come home from school.
Right. And
it's kind of just generally taking care of the household. That's kind of been what I've seen, an old school kind of perspective of femininity. Kind of what I feel like femininity is now. It's kind of objective. It's kind of it just depends on the individual person. And the thing that kind of annoys me about society sometimes is we try to put femininity in a box. So it's oh, you can't be a career woman and be someone who works in the home, or oh, if you work in the home, well, now you're less of a woman than someone who's a career woman. Now they're oh, you're reverting backwards. That's from the 50s and the 40s. But it's people kind of underestimate how important that role is in the home. And then it's and I'm very pro do what works for you and your family.
Right.
I know personally when I have my kids, I want to make sure I'm homeschooling them how we were homeschooled. I want to make sure that I'm instilling values in them that me and my partner care about and that my family cares about. So that's kind of, I don't know, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I said, it's what is it to you personally, because femininity means different things to different people. And for me, I mean, it's pretty much the same. I feel a feminine woman is somebody that's really going to support her man. But also she's going to have, she's got her own stuff going. I feel like a feminine woman can still have her own objectives, her own career.
Exactly.
A feminine woman is intuitive. She has, good qualities about herself. She could be very caring, compassionate, these types of things, kind. And I actually wrote down some of the stuff that what they say normal feminine traits are. It says intuition, empathy, sensitivity, charm, vulnerability, collaboration, nurture, self-awareness, kindness, these types of things. I just feel nowadays femininity, I mean, like I said, it could be different for everybody, but I feel now today femininity is kind of transformed, but I feel there are some negative ways that people portray femininity. And so, so one of the first questions I have, what do you think the world lacks when it comes to femininity today?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, don't do that. What is the world lacking when it comes to femininity? Well, this is, and I'm kind of old school because it's weird being a millennial because you get a little bit of both. So you understand the perspective of the new generation, but then you were raised with like the old values and then you fall somewhere in between. So I have to say, kind of like in society, you'll see like a lot of mainstream, like let's use like mainstream female rappers, for an example. You'll see Cardi B or Nicki Minaj. They're going out on stage, kind of like super revealing stuff, like half naked and stuff. And I'm not against it because I feel like you should do like, that's what femininity is. It's empowerment. You're not going to let somebody tell you how you should dress. But then on the other hand, it's like femininity is not necessarily you have to be half naked to show everyone, oh, I'm proud of my body. I'm proud of who I am. You don't have to be half naked to do that. Right. You can be fully clothed and still show that femininity, Right. So it's just kind of like, I feel like in the new generation, it's like the more revealing you are, that's kind of what they're associating femininity with. It's the thing that kind of frustrates me, I'm trying to put it into words. The frustrating thing in the new generation is kind of like femininity is all physical. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, oh, let me have a certain figure. Let me look cute and become an Instagram baddie. But to me, femininity, like that nurturing, creative energy. And it's like femininity doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be dressing a certain way. Femininity could be that energy that you're bringing to the table. Right. It's like how men, for me, like with masculine energy, it's like, okay, men are the protectors. They're very much the action, like, let me get this done. Right. It's kind of like the conversation you and I had before, divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy. People think of it as a gender role kind of thing, but it's not a gender thing. It's an energy thing. Right. So like feminine energy will be more like that creative side, that nurturing side. And it's like, it's funny because me and my fiance, Daniel, like we butt heads all the time because he's super masculine. It's just like, okay, there's a problem. We're not going to sit here and just, be upset about the problem. We're going to find solutions and then we're going to take action. And I'm more on the feminine side, like, I don't disagree with being proactive, but sometimes I feel like you just need to dissect, Yeah. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where the energies clash, where sometimes with women, we just need to dissect and we need to unpack things. Men they're like, let's fix it, You can relate. You're a man. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. No, you've gotten into arguments with past partners because of that. Yeah.
I think a lot of the issues today is like men and women, we are very different. We're two different things. And I feel like if people better understood what masculine energy is and what feminine energy is and the dynamic, then I think relationships would be a lot smoother. The world would be a lot more peaceful. There'd be a lot less issues because, femininity and masculinity it's complex, but it's not complex at the same time. It's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. It's just, I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about pretty much all of it. Yeah. What do you think are some of the causes of the lack of the femininity today?
Oh, see, I'm biased when it comes to that one. So, because you know the culture we came from. Like, I feel like I grew up with a lot of old school church women, especially older Black women, like grandmas. I used to hang out with a lot of grandmas growing up. So it's kind of like, I feel like that wisdom and what they kind of instilled in me, I feel like that's lacking in the new generation. Like young girls nowadays, they don't just sit around and have a conversation with their grandma, and talk about just like real issues and stuff, And I feel like that's something that it's not really something you can replace. And I feel like it's something our culture needs to get back to, mm-hmm. if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's taking that wisdom from the older generation and not, take it with a grain of salt, because obviously the way they did things back then is a little different from now.
Yeah,
but kind of, like I said, how we are millennials, kind of look at how the world is going, like the direction the world's going in now, and take some of that old world wisdom and mix it together.
Right.
And that's how we're gonna become better.
Right.
Because I'm trying not to say too much without coming across like abrasive.
You're doing it.
Okay.
That's one other thing I was going to mention, is because I feel that just, it is the focus right now of femininity, because I would say the same thing for men if we're talking about men, but right now we're talking about femininity. So I think, like what you said, it comes down to the lack of good fathers and mothers, or, pretty much a good family foundation. Because I feel like right now, one thing that we're experiencing is a lot of, just like we had a lot of men that didn't have good mothers, I think we have a lot of women that didn't have good mothers and good fathers. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like contributing to a lot of, this misconception of what femininity is, because I think a lot of women don't actually have the access to, good fathers to show them what a man should be like, actual good man. Yeah. Like a lot of women, they don't have a lot of good moms or a grandmother that is here to
exactly what it is.
So I feel like right now it's going to take the women of today to change the future generation, because there has been this gap, like this huge
facts. And
so I feel like femininity right now is really misconstrued because the breach in normal family values. What a virtuous woman, or what a divine feminine woman is actually supposed to be like. How can a woman, go in the world and be a good woman if she's never had an example?
Mm-hmm. It's funny that you say that, because it's even like how we were saying before, people look at it as a negative thing. And I can't remember what the woman's name was, but if you search her up on YouTube, I'm sure she'll pop up. But she was talking about how she walks in her divine femininity, and like a lot of other women kind of would be like, oh, you're just basic. Because it's like, she's like, well, I like to take care of my man. When he comes home, he knows his food is ready. If he's had a stressful day, he knows I'm going to massage him so he goes to sleep. And she was like, I can even tell when he's relaxed, like when I'm about to put him to sleep for massaging him, because, his breathing changes. Like, she knows all this about her man. Right. And people are just like, oh, well, that's basic. How they make it like a bad thing if you're good in the home. Right. Like, you can't be good at the home and be feminine, because now you're setting women back 50 or 100 years, which it makes zero sense.
That just brought up a whole thing when you said that. It's like, I feel like
talk about it. And
now women, there's some like this whole, with Cardi B and stuff, where you're like, oh, I don't cook, I don't clean. It's like, I'm not saying that's a woman's place to just cook and clean. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, there's a lot.
On the other hand, it's not wrong if you can, Yeah. Sorry.
I just feel like now a lot of women in this whole movement of what femininity is, this independent woman, I don't need a man, which, that's cool. But like, I feel like it's sending the wrong message to a lot of women, and a lot of these younger women who are coming up. And so they're thinking, oh, I'm not going to cook for my man. I'm not going to clean for my man. I'm not going to nurture my man. I'm not going to, he need to come with this money in order for me to do these things. And even if he do,
bro, continue, but finish that thought.
Yeah, I just feel like that's what the world has come to now with femininity. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with being a soft woman, being a nurturing woman, and being good to your man. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And same for a man. A man should be good to their women as well. But I'm just talking about for women. And I think that's what's kind of going on in the world, is there's this huge movement of it's just the wrong movement. It's like the wrong way of looking at things. Yeah. But what are you getting ready to say?
They're taking femininity, and they're taking it out of context and making it into like it has to be one single thing. And kind of like what you were saying, women not cooking and cleaning, and that's okay. But I believe you should have, it doesn't have to be cooking and cleaning, but you need to have something to bring to the table. Right. And that was kind of how like mom raised me. She was always like, well, yeah, I feel like mom, and I love our mom, she's like the perfect example of a feminine woman, because she stayed home with us. She made sure we were good. When dad came home, food was always ready. And then when we got to a certain age and we could go to school, and like, she went back to work to help support the family, but she did everything.
Right.
She was a stay-at-home mom. She was, working out and supporting the family and bringing money in. But it's kind of like women nowadays, like especially in this younger generation, you get a lot of entitlement. It's like, oh, this man needs to be a CEO. He needs to drive a nice car and own his own house. But it's like, bro, what are you bringing to the table? And honestly, sex comes a dime a dozen. Like, you can get that from anywhere. So you can't be like, oh, well, you know how the rappers do, oh, this kitty's so good, da 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 da. It's like, okay, who cares?
Right.
What else do you have to offer?
No,
and it's like, if you're trying to talk about, oh, well, I'm a liberated woman, why are you leading with sex? Because isn't that the opposite of what femininity is? You shouldn't be leading with sex. If you're a liberated feminine woman, you should have more to bring to the table. Exactly. Like, bring some intelligence, bring some money, like bring some skill sets, like,
Facts. And the crazy thing is, a lot of men don't even want that many things from a woman. Like, a woman that can be loyal.
Men want support.
support, loyal, like someone that can be nurturing, loving, caring, good, someone that has good motherly qualities for if they were to have children. Like, it's things like that. These are invaluable traits that a woman should have, and that a guy really wants. A good man, that's what good men want.
Yeah.
And so, I just feel like with the sex thing, I feel like people lead with that, and they try to control and manipulate. And it's weird because it's like sex is transactional. You're giving your body and the other person is giving their body, and that's it.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be. Yeah. You should be a trick if you're gonna like expect something.
Just like, get out in these streets if you're gonna be like that.
You know what I'm saying?
For the streets.
Like, if you want something for sex, you need to be a prostitute. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, or an escort. Like, that's what it comes down to. I just feel like a lot of women, they want something for it. Like, I bring this, like you said, I bring this kitty. What you gonna give me?
But it's like, bro, you can say the same thing for men. It's like, okay, well, they're bringing pinga, so it's like, okay, so what are you gonna give them? It's
like, what else?
It's like, it's a double standard that doesn't make sense.
Oh, and that's we're gonna get into the double standards. Like, that's a whole
man. Can I throw one more thing on that topic? It's kind of truly I must, but it reminds me. You stop. It reminds me of, like, when I think of divine feminine and divine masculine energy, it's like the yin and yang symbol. How you have like the white with a little bit of black and the black with a little bit of white. It's about balance.
Right.
And then somewhere along the way, it's like the new age feminism movement. It's like we're messing up the balance, because it's like, let's say women are the white side of the yin and yang symbol with a little bit of black, and men are the black symbol with a little bit of white. We're trying to make the symbol all white instead of having that little bit of black. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you need it. Each side needs a little bit of both. Like, to be a divine feminine woman, you need a little bit of masculine, and to be a divine masculine man, you need a little bit of that feminine energy. Like, it's not a gender thing. It's an energy thing, and we need that to keep balance.
I just did that episode for the men, and I'm doing the one for the women.
Oh, I watched it.
Oh, you did? Yeah,
I did.
I'm gonna have that down below, guys. If you haven't seen it, look over here. I'm gonna have the link in the bio if y'all need to see that for when a masculine man needs to be in a feminine, and when I'm gonna be doing the episode when a feminine woman needs to be in a masculine, because like you just said, it's a balance. We both have both energies. Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to what you were saying, because that goes into a whole other topic. I told you I like all these little social politics, but like that even goes into like a high functioning man versus a low functioning man, and a high functioning woman versus a low functioning woman. It all has to do with the balance of those energies.
Yes, that's fact. That could be a whole nother.
And
the definition of femininity is from the Urban Dictionary, but so everyone, this source is from the Urban Dictionary, but this is what it came up with. Toxic femininity is willful ignorance, a heavy sense of entitlement with refusal to take responsibility for one's own actions, encouraged by others of the same condition. So it's like basically saying there's usually those groups of women that have a bunch of other single unhappy friends that are giving terrible advice, and then they're just all adding to it. So how do you feel about that with the toxic femininity?
Man, there's so much of that going on right now. It's annoying. And I know I keep saying it's frustrating, but I'm trying to not go too harsh on the topic. But it's like, the one thing I learned, even being an entrepreneur, is like, why are you taking advice from people who don't have the results you want? Because if you do what people do and you say what people say, you're going to get the exact same results they have.
Right.
So if you have a girlfriend who's telling you, oh no, I wouldn't do this if that were my man, well, that's why you don't have a man. That's why you're single. That's why you've been single for 8 years. Because clearly you don't know how to handle a man or a high functioning man or whatever the case is. So it's just kind of like, to me, it's silly, like if you're not to like just be like rude, but it's like, if you're trying to lose weight, why would you go to a friend who you know is overweight? They don't eat healthy. They don't like exercise. Why would you ask them, how am I going to drop 20 pounds? It doesn't make sense.
It makes zero sense. And I don't know. I feel like, I think that there's just like a lot of women that just, they don't understand what it actually is. Like I said, I don't think they have good examples. And so I feel like it's just spreading like wildfire.
Honestly, man.
Yeah, I don't know. The entitlement is what kills me. And the funny thing is, I feel like a lot of those women that are like, oh, I need this dude to have 6 figures. He needs to be like this, and this, and I want a high value man. A lot of those women can't even handle a high value man because.
Hey, and don't you dare flip the scripts though, because then it's a problem.
Oh, that's the whole thing, man. But it's like,
a man asking the same thing of a woman, what she's asking for him. Now it's, oh, you should accept me as I am. Oh, why are there all these standards for women that men can't live up to, but they want us to live up? But what are you doing? You're doing the same thing. Like,
exactly. Like,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
that brings a good point, because it's like, okay, this guy, he's got to be 6'2". He needs to be making 8 figures. He needs to have his own, 2 cars, a house, no kids. Needs to be under 40, needs to have this, needs to look like this, and it's like, okay, I want a woman that's cooperative. I want a woman that takes care of herself. She's in shape, she hits the gym. You start saying that kind of stuff, and it's like, you should accept us as we are, and this is like, you can't construct us to be this way. It's like, you just said the same thing, but in a way more extreme way.
But you know what's so funny to me though is like, it's so tied into so many things in society that are just backwards. Like, even with this whole Instagram movement of Brazilian butt lifts, everyone wants to have the hourglass and a big booty. It's like, okay, well, if people are truly feminists, why are you letting the media, which is quote unquote the male gaze, why are you letting that dictate your ideal of beauty?
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
It's like, okay, well, men, continue.
Oh, no, go ahead, finish that real quick.
No, because it's just kind of like, they'll be like, oh, well, men are objectifying me. I don't want to be objectified and that sort of thing. Oh, I'm more than a sexual object. And yet you go and get all these fillers and you get these butt lifts and these breast implants to look more appealing in a male sense, quote unquote. Like, when I say a male sense, obviously you can't generalize all men, but and according to what the media says, a man finds attractive.
Right. So
it's like, okay, well, people don't ever stop and think, where do I get this perspective that I have of what is beautiful, what is feminine, who's programming me with these ideas?
Right.
Like, stop and think for yourself, what is beautiful to me?
Right.
Because in my mind, I don't have to have a Kim Kardashian butt implant booty to be attractive.
Right.
Like, it's like that India RE song video where it's like, what God gave me is just fine.
Right.
Something about I don't need your silicone, I prefer my own. Yeah. It's like same thing. It's like, define your own standards of what's beautiful. Like, why are you following society?
Right.
If you're a true feminist, like, and that's the whole thing.
But I mean, that's what we're gonna actually get into next is body positivity, because I feel like now people think that, like you said, they're sexualizing it, and there's these Instagram models, everybody's like got the BBLs and the lips implants, and it's like, everybody just, I thought the whole point of body positivity is that we're supposed to accept everybody how we are, and go to the gym, eat better. There's things that you can do to naturally enhance yourself to make you look and feel better about yourself. And hey, there's nothing wrong with anybody ever wants to get a BBL. It's whatever. That's what you want to do. I've seen some that actually look really good. I ain't gonna lie, but
that's because you like them big old thighs.
I love
them legs be like this. You be like, ooh.
But my whole point is who do they think is dictating this? It's like it's the patriarchy, the people that they say that they're against, like this whole woman and feminine, empowerment. But you're looking at all these models and stuff like that, getting these waist trainers to make your waist like super tiny is messing up your rib cage, doing all these things for beauty, quote unquote. But it's like, who is this for? A lot of women are saying, it's for us. We're doing this for us. It's like, is it though? Half the time, women are trying to look this way to snag, certain types of men. A lot of these women are trying to snag these certain types of men by doing this. Some women, I guess, they just want to do it. They just want to feel empowered and look that way. That's cool. I just feel that body positivity was supposed to be about accepting everybody as they are, and so I want to do the
in your natural state. Exactly.
I want to actually look at the actual definition of body positivity. It says social movement focused on the acceptance of all bodies, regardless of size, shape, skin tone, gender, physical abilities, while challenging present day beauty standards and as an undesirable social construct. Because it's talking about how, that's what body positivity was supposed to be. We're accepting all different body types. We're not going to treat somebody different because they're big or because they shaped like, Gru from Despicable Me or whatever. Like everybody, everybody should still have the same respect, the same type of opportunities and stuff like that. That's what it's supposed to be. But out of nowhere, it's become like everybody having this is what beauty is. The
Instagram body, the Instagram look. I freaking hate it, man. Even, and I'm pro natural, like exactly like India Ari said, what God gave me is just fine. If there's something you don't like about yourself, work on it naturally. If you think, you want a bigger butt, get in the gym and do some squats. But it's kind of like whenever people have these movements, they take it to the extremes, and it's just kind of like, what body positivity should be, kind of like what you were just saying. It should be us accepting ourselves in our most natural state. It's just like with the natural hair movement, with black hair and the black community. And it's like, it started out accepting your hair in its most natural state.
Right.
Now, a few years later, 10 years later, you've got the hair typing. Oh, your hair has to be defined. You need to have these 3C and 4A coils. And it's like, now y'all doing too much. It's supposed to be about accepting your hair in your natural state. And now you're saying accepting your hair in the natural state is not acceptable until it looks like this. And people are doing the same thing with the body positivity movement.
Right.
It used to be just however God made you, as long as you're happy and healthy and natural, it's fine.
Exactly.
And now it's, if you don't look like the Instagram body, you don't have the, hourglass. Okay, well, now your body's not acceptable.
Right. It's like, how does that, that's why I feel like, femininity and body positivity and the body shaming and all these different things, everything's so misconstrued now. And I feel that everybody needs to just realize we should just all accept ourselves. And I feel like the feminine movement is going in the wrong direction. I feel like if
100%,
if everyone just realized, like, being a woman, because the way they're coming about it's actually not even feminine. It's actually a lot more masculine. And
it's very masculine energy.
It's very masculine. You got to do this and you got to do this. And it's like very demanding and it's like very aggressive. And it's like, that's what losing touch of what femininity actually is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think women can do to change these negative patterns and like what's going on in the society today with the negative or the toxic femininity and the double standards and all this stuff? What do you think women can do to change that?
There needs to be a mindset shift. And it was almost kind of like what you and I had talked about the other day about like that conference that I went to, where essentially you're doing shadow work and you're working on yourself. And it's like, really, that's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
People need to work on themselves for themselves. Like, because the problem is people are too susceptible to ideas and concepts that aren't their own, because they don't really stop and do the work to figure themselves out and figure out, well, what is something I actually value? What is femininity to me? Or what is, it doesn't even have to be femininity, whatever this belief I have, what is it to me, not within the context of what I've been raised to be, to believe, or what I've been told by society it is.
Right.
Like, people need to start thinking for themselves and question why they have those views that they have. And I think that's where it starts, education. What do you think? I mean, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I totally agree. I think there needs to be a lot of healing. I think there needs to be, like you said, a mindset change. It's got to be people being accountable, though. Like, accountability is going to be another thing. Like, this is not right, and this is what I need to do to fix this. It's just, if it's being spread from this generation to the next generation to the next generation, that's generational trauma. And as a collective,
it's a generational curse.
Yes, literally, for a whole society. So I feel like it has to stop now with the current women. Like, so it's going to be women taking, if they don't have a mother or they didn't have a good father, there's always ways that you can meet other people or get positive people in your life that can be a father figure or a positive mother figure, or, get around good women that have, your best interests at heart, women that can empower you and not tear you down, and get you into the right mindset and show you what a really good feminine woman is, and sharing that and then you passing that down to your daughters. I feel. But now I just have last words of wisdom. What would be some words of wisdom that you would give as a parting gift to the viewers today?
Okay. Well, in general, I would say, because one of the biggest life lessons I've been going through recently is kind of like what I was talking to you before about doing the shadow work, just really doing a deep dive on yourself and questioning your own belief systems, and, why do you value the things you value? And also, like what you said, taking accountability, being honest with yourself, okay, well, I need to become a better person. Here's my strengths and here's my weaknesses, and not being afraid to face that, and just doing the steps and doing the work you need to do to become better. Right. And that's really it. Just being accountable. That literally, most of the problems we have in society, even with this whole BS with the whole feminism movement, and out with the man, in with women being independent, we don't need men for anything. It boils down to being accountable and finding that balance, understanding what the different roles, what the masculine energy is for, what the feminine energy is for, and learning how to blend them together. And it's not a bad thing. We're different for a reason. It's because we're stronger together than we are separately. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need a man, quote unquote, but the way that we're designed to complement each other. So when you come together with those two different energies, it's why a household is stronger. And I mean, you can argue against it if you want. That's just my opinion. A household is going to be stronger when you have that balance of a strong, high-functioning masculine man, like in our family, dad, and a high-functioning, feminine woman. In this case, our mom. I feel like that's why we think the way that we do, and we came out. In my opinion, I think we came out pretty good. I think so. I think they did pretty good raising us.
I think they did.
But we're not. We're functional people. We're not dysfunctional, and that comes because we had two strong examples of what to look for. So now we're going to bring that to our families when we start our families.
Exactly.
So that's just my 2 cents.
That was great. We talked about body shaming. We talked about toxic femininity. We talked about, beauty standards and double standards. And I think this was a great episode. I appreciate you being on the episode. Let me know when you want to do another.
Yes.
You guys follow.
Let's go.
Follow Brittany. I'm gonna have all her stuff in the link below. If you want to check her out, she's got some stuff on life insurance. If you're in Florida, she's licensed in Florida. Let's become our best selves, guys. Everybody, stay elevated.
Yeah.